At this time, with the most nuclear weapons, Russia is one of the most powerful countries in the world. The risk of deployment of those lethal weapons is always there. That's why, despite conducting an inhumane invasion of Ukraine, the world cannot confront Russia with full power. But that doesn't mean that Russia has not been condemned at all. Countries over the world have imposed sanctions on Russia. But what are these sanctions? Do they actually work? Let's find out in today's video. Hello everyone, welcome to the Ukraine War. We are here to deliver to you all the new political movements regarding the Russia-Ukraine conflicts, the casualties, strategies, and the aftermath of the ongoing war in detail. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon if you don't want to miss any of those. Without any further delay, let's start. For millennia, economic penalties have been employed as a weapon of war. Economic penalties or sanctions were commonly used by countries at war in 17th and 18th century Europe. They included trade restrictions, port closures against opponents, and restrictions on the trade of particular goods. In the face of terrorism, nuclear proliferation, armed conflicts, and other foreign policy problems, economic sanctions continue to play a significant role. Sanctions are actually some kind of punishment imposed by one government on another to deter hostile behavior or violations of international law. They are among the most difficult steps that a country may take instead of going to war. Sanctions are most successful when they are planned and enforced multilaterally with allies, and sanctions regimes that are poorly designed and implemented frequently fail to achieve the desired results. We all know that there is a terrifying war going on the soil of Ukraine, and to condemn Russia, many countries over the globe have imposed sanctions on them. But the Russian officials were enraged by this step. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire said, "We are going to wage a total economic and financial war on Russia. We are going to cause the collapse of the Russian economy." As a retaliation, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev responded with a tweet, "Watch your tongue, gentlemen, and don't forget that in human history, economic wars quite often turned into real ones." But the truth is, sanctions have successfully impacted Russia to some extent. The Russian economy is suffering as a result of the sanctions, but few anticipate the newest round of sanctions to be any more effective than previous rounds. Let's start from the beginning. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the U.S. announced a series of sanctions aimed at punishing and weakening the Russian economy through trade and financial restrictions. However, these measures have failed to dissuade additional action, and the situation is now intensifying. In light of these conditions, the world is currently witnessing the most severe and coordinated sanctions launched by the U.S. and the European Union to discourage additional Russian military advances. Germany announced the expulsion of 40 Russian diplomats after photographs of mass executions in the city of Bucha were released. The photographs displayed unbelievable brutality on the part of the Russian leadership and those who follow its propaganda, according to German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock. On the other hand, France has stated that 35 Russian diplomats would be expelled. The Russian ambassador was expelled from Lithuania. These actions follow a coordinated series of Russian diplomat expulsions by numerous EU nations earlier this year. Over 250 Russian diplomats and diplomatic employees have been removed by 9 EU nations and the United States so far. Countries are giving befitting replies to Russia in their own way. In one of Europe's biggest security crises in decades, the US, the European Union, the UK, Australia, Canada, and Japan revealed preparations to target banks and rich individuals in Russia, while Germany blocked a major gas pipeline project from Russia. You guys already know that the US dollar accounts for more than 80% of Russia's daily foreign exchange transactions and half of its commerce, and Russia is getting hit on this spot also. 2 of Russia's state-owned banks, VEB and Promysvaya Bank, have been sanctioned by Washington, which has barred them from dealing in their debt on US and European exchanges. With over $80 billion in assets, the 2 Russian banks are regarded particularly close to the Kremlin and Russia's military. Also, the assets of Russian President Vladimir Putin, his Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, as well as the FSB Security Chief Alexander Bortnikov, the Armed Forces Chief Valery Gerasimov, and members of the Kremlin Security Council have been frozen in the EU, the US, and the UK. The EU has slapped sanctions on all 351 members of Russia's parliament, the Duma. The US and UK, as well as Australia, Japan, and New Zealand, have targeted specific members. Several oligarchs worth billions of dollars have links to Putin's leadership and are on asset freeze and travel ban lists around the world. Top state-owned bank officials from VTB and Sberbank have also been sanctioned by the US. Multiple oligarchs have also been sanctioned by Canada and Australia. The UK has set a £50,000 restriction on Russian bank accounts in the UK, and the EU has imposed €100,000 cap on EU banks. It also wanted to restrict Moscow's access to finance and financial markets in the EU. Swiss President Ignacio Cassis declared that even historically neutral Switzerland is embracing the EU's sanctions against Russia. The country, which is a significant hub for wealthy Russian oligarchs, said that some people's assets will be frozen immediately. UK Foreign Secretary Liz Truss also stated that Russia will not be able to sell sovereign debt in London. The process of sanctioning the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline from Russia has been halted, according to German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. This was a profitable agreement long desired by Moscow, but criticized by the US for increasing Europe's dependency on Russian energy. According to Reuters, Japan would restrict transactions with Russia's central bank and will impose sanctions on Belarus. The nation said over the weekend that it will deny some Russian banks access to SWIFT and that Putin's assets will be frozen. Australia's PM stated, "Begin placing more sanctions on oligarchs whose economic weight is of strategic relevance to Moscow and over 300 members of the Russian Duma, their parliament." In reaction to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, New Zealand has banned the shipments of commodities to Russian military and security agencies. Taiwan has also declared that it will join Russia's economic penalties, but did not specify which actions were under consideration. Russian airlines and private planes have been gradually barred from flying in the United Kingdom and the European Union, and the United States is considering taking similar steps, but has yet to make a final decision. Aeroflot has said that all flights to European destinations would be cancelled, and other European airlines have announced that their routes to Russia will be halted. The Russian energy business Gazprom, the oil pipeline company Transneft, and the power company Rushydro, as well as the country's largest freight, rail, and telecoms companies, have effectively been barred from the U.S. credit markets. Exports of aircraft and aviation components, as well as high-tech commodities such as semiconductors, computers, telephones, and information security systems and sensors, have been banned by the EU. Exports to a wide range of Russian defense, maritime, transportation, and communications industries, including the infamous internet research agency Troll Farm in St. Petersburg, are also prohibited. In a statement, the U.S. Department of Treasury said it imposed sanctions on Russian commercial bank TransCapital Bank, whose agents are alleged to service many institutions in Asia, including China and the Middle East, and have offered ways to circumvent international sanctions. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and Starbucks are among the foreign firms that have halted operations in Russia. Nestle has pulled some of its trademarks, including Kit Kat and Nesquik, after receiving harsh criticism for continuing to operate in Russia, but will continue to sell basic items. Other Western companies such as Marks & Spencer, Burger King, and hotel giants Marriott and Accor argue that they can't leave Russia because their operations are governed by intricate franchise agreements. On the other hand, geopolitical experts have long claimed that sanctions are frequently ineffectual humanitarian catastrophes that only serve to strengthen the targeted regime's hold on power. While the sanctions have undoubtedly crippled Russia's economy, some argue that this confuses the means with the objective, because it's unclear if a weaker economy would ultimately affect Putin. According to academic research, sanctions only achieve their declared goals 30 to 40% of the time, and successful instances usually have minor goals such as a change in trade policy or the release of particular political prisoners. Sanctions have been a theoretical success, or at least they appeared to be at first. The Russian stock market and the ruble both crashed. The ruble recovered quickly after that, and the stock market too has made some progress since reopening. Sanctions are now assisting in the rise of energy prices in the United Kingdom, making life more difficult for millions of people. However, there is currently little indication that they are precision bombing their targets while avoiding innocent bystanders. Because governments want to avoid being portrayed as soft on the offending country, sanctions are frequently difficult to remove once imposed. Therefore, many argue that targeted countries may fairly conclude they have little motivation to cooperate because the advantages may never materialize. Even skeptics of sanctions agreed that something needed to be done after Russia invaded Ukraine, and sanctions were certainly the least worst choice in a fight with a nuclear-armed former superpower. With that being said, that takes us to the end of the episode. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel and push notifications bell to keep up with our work. We'll see you soon. Until then, Peace.